middle paragraph that make up the important parts of the story. Okay, so this is where you introduce the challenges, the problems that happen in the story, right? Or all the suspense. That's where you put in the middle. And then finally, you've got the resolution on the ending. So that is where you provide like this the solution to your story. Like, what is the ending after everything that had happened? So what finally happened? Okay, so that is for this one, for resolution. So altogether, you've got 5 paragraphs. Now, let's try to rearrange all these. Okay, so these are not the complete story. Okay, complete like the complete paragraph. These are just some like some of the outline ideas. Okay, so I need you all to think where to put. Like there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 sentences here. So you have to decide which sentence goes to which paragraph. Okay? Now, see? This one, the police arrived quickly and the burglar was arrested. Sam's parents were very proud of him. He saw a burglar trying to break in his neighbor's house. It was late at night. Sam was watching a horror movie in his room. He immediately called the police to make a report. He suddenly heard a strange sound from outside and looked outside his window to investigate. So now probably you can write on a piece of paper, and also online students as well. Maybe you can write your answers. Please write your answers in the chat box. Okay? Which sentence you think goes to which paragraph? So remember, it has to be in a correct order. Okay. So the sequence has to be logical. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Sure. Right. So the sequence has to be logical. Okay. It has to be written in. It has to be arranged in a way that you would tell a story, or how a story develops, would normally develop. Okay. Everybody, right? Okay. Later we'll check together. No, this is just for attendance. Suana. Done? Finish? Not yet. Online students as well, yeah? How many of you? So there are 9 of you, right? Fu, Mr. Yash, and you. Okay. Okay, all of you, please write down your answers here. I mean, type. Okay, type your answers in the chat box. Give you around 4 more minutes to do. Most basic part of the story, right? So we decided out of all those, you think is the most basic. That should be the exposition. Okay? Then slowly you move towards the yes, you don't have to write the entire sentence. Okay, probably just the first 2 or 3 words, so that you know like which sentence you're referring to. Which one is with each other? What about this one? The one up? Oh, a different one. Oh. Finish? Can I please see your answers, all the online students? Online students? Could you please share your answers? Physical students done? Finished? All right. So let's check. Okay, you all check your answers now. Here. Okay. So the exposition would be, it was late at night. Sam was watching a horror movie in his room. So that should be the introduction. Check. Did everybody get this one correct? Or anybody got this one wrong? Okay, so this should be the exposition. Why? Because it provides the background of the story. Okay, and it also gives us like the, you see, the time setting, when it happened, late at night. And where was it? Where, the place setting, where was it? Where? In his room, exactly. So this is what I told you just now. In your exposition, okay, in your exposition paragraph, you have to provide the settings, like where it happened, when it happened. That is where you put, all right? So it was late at night. Sam was watching a horror movie in his room. Rising action. He suddenly. So you see now we're moving on, like from this to like this. Okay, slowly we are going into a more intense situation. So he suddenly heard a strange sound from outside and looked outside his window to investigate. Right? So this is where we are introducing the problem, or we are bringing in the problem. Okay, so what happens next? So is the climax. So climax, he saw a burglar trying to break in his neighbor's house. So the climax is like um, the the most peak, okay, point of the story, is the highest point of the story, the most intense part of the story. Okay, so that is when he saw the burglar trying to break in his neighbor's house, and then falling action, not rising action, falling action. He immediately called the police to make a report. But this is not the resolution yet. Okay, This is not a resolution yet. The resolution is that the police arrived quickly and the burglar was arrested. Okay, why is number 4 not considered as a resolution yet? Can somebody tell me why number 4 is not considered as the ending yet? He immediately called the police to make a report. Why? He already called the police, right? So isn't it done already? No, very good. Why? Because that's just calling, right? But the police are not there yet, right? So we have to wait until the police come for the story to be considered as like a complete story. So like, for example, this one, the police arrived quickly and the burglar was arrested. So from the word arrested, now we know that, like it's done. Okay, so that is the resolution. So now can you see clearly how to come up like with the storyline? Of course, there's only one sentence for each paragraph here, but these are just the ideas. Okay, these are just the ideas, which is one idea for each paragraph. But of course, you need to write longer for each paragraph. Okay, but generally, this is what you have to include in every paragraph, or this is like the main point of each paragraph. Okay, so now, how do you plan your writing? Now you know that you have to write in 5 paragraphs, but how do you strategize? Okay, how do you strategize to make sure that you are able to write within the word limit, the given word limit? So you see, for example, like this one, for paragraph 1, which is the exposition, you can come up with more or less 30 words. 30 words. So that should be around how many sentences? 30 words. Should just be around 3 sentences, right? 3 to 4 sentences, okay? And then paragraph 2, the rising action. Of course, it has to be longer than your introduction. So 70 words, okay, 70 words. And then paragraph 3, the climax, 60 words. More or less, okay, this is more or less, it does not have to be exactly 60 or exactly 70, no, okay, this is just like an estimation, roughly how many words you should write for the paragraph. Okay, and then paragraph 4 is a falling action, 60 words. Okay, you can also make like 30, 60, 60, 60, should be fine. And then finally, paragraph 5 is a resolution, so it's just like the introductory paragraph or the exposition paragraph. It can be written in 30 words. So from what you can see here, your body paragraph, which are the rising action, climax, and falling action, have to be longer than the introductory paragraph and also the concluding paragraph, okay, which are the exposition and resolution. Okay, so normal, just like any other types of writing. Okay. Okay, so you have to make sure that you always stick to this word limit for each body paragraph. Otherwise, it will affect your organization. Okay, remember that you are given marks for your organization, right? So, yeah, if you don't plan carefully or you don't write within the given word, the suggested, okay, word limit, then you might exceed, and then something will happen to your organization. Okay, it will mess up with your organization. Okay, now let's look at some examples of questions for story writing. So this one, this is a SPM question for 2021. Okay, so for story writing, now your teacher has asked you to write a story for your English club newsletter. The story must begin with the following words. If I were given 3 wishes, I would. So in your story, you must describe your wishes. So how many wishes do you have to describe then? 3, very good, okay? So make sure that you always fulfill the requirement of the question. If it asks for 3, for example, in this question, if I were given 3 wishes, so make sure that you give 3. Don't give less than that or don't give more than that. Just give what the question wants or asks from you. And then talk about the impact of your wishes on you and others. So now you have two things to address. One is how the wishes impact yourself, okay, and how the wishes impact other people. So two things here. Okay, you cannot simply just choose one and ignore the other one, right? So these are some of the things that you have to bear in mind. You have to make sure that you fulfill each and every part of the question. That's why reading the instruction carefully uh, is like a crucial step. Okay, before writing, you should not ignore that. Okay, now let's look at some other samples, some other sample questions. Now this one, your teacher has asked you to write a story for a school newsletter. The story must have the title. Your story should include class as her expression. So it's like a trip. And then this one, an embarrassing experience. You see, the genre. There are different types of stories. Okay, so I cannot like simply give you any topic for you to memorize. No, cannot. Okay, because we never know what topic might come out. Okay, an embarrassing experience. Now you have to give a description of the experience. How did it take place? Your feelings. Okay, and then honesty. Now if you get something like this, then it will be more difficult because it is too general. Honesty is like a value, right? Kejujuran, betul? So now you have to give a description of the act, benefits of the act, and then your feelings. So this one is a bit more general, so a bit difficult. But this one is easy, just like an embarrassing experience. This one is also quite easy. A bad day. So a description of the day. How did the bad incident take place? Then your feelings. Okay. And of course, you have to organize like all these points into the 5 paragraph. Now let's look at this one. This is a story sample from this question. A bad day. Okay, this one a bad day. So you can look at how you can write a story based on that question. Okay, so again, as you can see, structure-wise, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 5 paragraphs. So look at the first one. Here, again, these are the points. A bad day. So you have to talk about a description of the day. How did the bad incident take place? And then your feelings, right? So, who wants to read? Anybody wants to read? Anyone? Any volunteer? Okay, now, having held the inter-school storytelling championship for the past 3 consecutive years, I was the star of my school. You see? So this is written in the first point of view or third point of view? First or third point of view? Look at the pronouns. I, right? So it is the first point of view. Also, I forgot to remind you to first identify the tense that you want to use for your story. If you are required to talk about your experience, of course you need to use past tense. All right. So when you know that you have to use past tense, make sure that all the verbs that you use must be written in past tense. Unless there are some situations where you feel that it is compulsory that you use present tense. Now, having held the inter-school storytelling championship for the past 3 consecutive years, I was the star of my school. Get charged. Somebody, okay, can somebody just read, girl? You in the middle? Okay, when it came to choosing. Okay. Yeah. Okay, first of all, the writer introduced himself as the character of the story by saying that because of his past experience, okay, for the past 3 consecutive years, now he was the star of his school. Now, when it came to choosing the right candidate to participate in such competitions, I was always the first choice. So you see how he included like his experiences in the first paragraph, okay, in the exposition paragraph. Naturally, I was once again selected to represent my school in the approaching contest this year. So you see, we only have like the background of the story, like the introduction. There are no uh, there are no more important details worth noting here except the fact that he was selected to represent his school. That's it. You see, like I told you previously, you should not include details in your introduction, only the basic part. Okay, so now moving on to the next body paragraph. So what is this paragraph again? What is it called? Rising action. Very good. So I was so complacent that I neglected the importance of practicing for the contest. So that is like the problem, right? You see, now you introduce the problem. So what's the problem? That I neglected. What is neglected? I neglected the importance of practicing for the contest. What is neglected? Ignored. Okay, I ignored. So that is the problem that we are introducing in the second paragraph, which is the rising action. So that is exactly what you need to do in the in the rising action paragraph. Okay, you introduce a problem or a challenge. Now, whenever my teacher requested me to practice in front of the class, I always found excuses to avoid doing so, as I had the opinion that I was too good and therefore the practice was quite unnecessary. So, okay, now we're talking about the problem. What's the problem? And not just that, I also want you to look at the choice of words here, the vocabulary. Okay, complacent, neglected, what else? Requested. Okay, instead of saying whenever my teacher wanted me. So you say whenever my teacher requested. So that's a better word to use. All right. So remember, when you write a story, you have to also consider your vocabulary, of course, on top of your grammar. Okay. So that is your rising action. Now, on the day of the contest, the hall was packed. Apart from my school teachers and principal, many of my classmates and schoolmates were present as well. I was the 8th contestant. Those who spoke before me did extremely well. On seeing their captivating and outstanding performance, I began to lose confidence in myself. My palms perspired heavily and I felt nervous. So this is the what? What is this? What is it called? Very good. It's the climax. Okay? So it's the climax. So which part of the paragraph is the climax? Which part of the paragraph? Which part? It's okay. You can just try. Which part of the paragraph is like the climax, the highest point? Is it the fact that the classmates and schoolmates were there? No. So which part? Is it the part that he was the eighth contestant? That sorry, I was the eighth contestant? No. So which one? This one. I began to lose confidence. Right? So that's the part. Okay. So he began to lose confidence. Okay. I began to lose confidence. So that is the climax. Okay. I began to lose confidence. Okay. Now, what happened after that? So this should be the falling action. So after losing my confidence, okay, while walking up the steps leading to the stage, I tripped up on the step and fell, drawing laughter from the audience. Drawing laughter means I got laughed at by the audience. Okay, people laugh at me. I was mortified. I was so embarrassed and got up quickly to proceed to the microphone. When I was facing the crowd, I suffered from stage fright. I spoke in an expressionless voice and even stuttered a few times as I had forgotten some parts of the story. On seeing my terrible performance, the judges shook their heads. Okay. I had never been so embarrassed in my life. In the end, I walked off the stage with my eyes filled with tears. So which part of the whole paragraph is the main part, which is the falling action? Which one? Falling action. Remember, you should be able to identify, okay, which one out of all the sentences of that paragraph is the main point. Because like the samples that I gave you just now, right? Okay, sorry, this one, you see? This one, right? There's only one sentence each. Okay, but basically that is the idea for each paragraph. Before you expand and before you add more sentences to that paragraph, okay? But that is basically what you need to do when you want to write your story. Okay, you need to come up with that one main point for that paragraph. So which one is the main point for the fourth paragraph? So which one is the falling action? Is it the fact that he tripped up on the step? I tripped up on the step and fell? Should that be the falling action? No, right? So which one? Third, I suffered from stage fright. Third, right? Wait, 1, 2. Yeah. Is it this one? I suffered from stage fright? 4. Started a few times, forgotten some parts of the story. Which one? Falling. Falling is like leading us to the ending of the story. So can that be? Which one? Girl, maybe you. Always so quiet, you. Yeah. Which one? It's like telling us, oh, okay, it's almost over. Correct. I walked off the stage with my eyes filled. With my eyes filled with tears. Yes. Okay. After everything, after losing my confidence, then I walked off the stage feeling so sad. Yeah. So that is the falling action. And then finally, the resolution. When the results were announced after the contest, I did not win any prizes. I regretted underestimating my opponents. My vanity had cost me the championship, and I was remorseful for being so vainglorious. I had learned my lesson well and finally understood the meaning of the saying, pride goes before a fall. So again, you look at all the words here. Okay, underestimating, and then my vanity, remorseful. I was remorseful. What is the meaning of remorseful? Basically, it just means I regretted. Okay, this is the feeling of regret, remorseful for being so vainglorious. What is vainglorious? Can you guess what it means? Remember previously I taught you like the technique, right? In case you come up with a word with an unfamiliar word, you can simply guess the meaning. How? How can you guess the meaning? Guess the meaning of this word, vainglorious? I was remorseful means I regretted being so vainglorious. So what is vainglorious? Like what? Like sombong lah, arrogant. Okay, arrogant. Sombong. Okay. Like maybe too confident, overconfident. Okay. Self-absorbed maybe. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So now, do you have like a better idea on how to write a story? But of course, one lesson is not enough to cover everything. Okay. So we'll for the next lesson we will also cover story writing. But for today, is sufficient that uh, like how to come up with a plot, like what you need to have in each uh, in each element of the plot. Okay. Great. All right, so let's repeat again. How many points of view can you write your story in? How many points of view? How many points of view? Like when you write the story, uh, whose point of view are you using? Is it your own point of view or your friend's point of view? If it's your own point of view, and then it should be the first point of view. So you must use me. Okay, that's a pronoun that you need to use for the first point of view. But if the third point of view is like telling someone else's story, so of course you cannot use I, because somebody else experienced it. It's not you. You did not experience it, but someone else. So you have to write in the third point of view. So again, there are 2 points of view. And then, how many paragraphs should you write for your story writing? 5. So the first one is called exposition, or it's just the introduction. And then the second one is rising action. And then the middle one is the climax. And then turun apa? What is turun? We have rise. Of course, we have fall. Okay, falling action. And finally, the resolution. The resolution is the ending. Okay, so what do you write in the resolution? You know what to write in the introduction. Basically, it's the basic information about your story. But what about the resolution? What should we write in the resolution? What do you put in the resolution? Look at this one, for example. When the results were announced after the contest, I did not win any prizes. I regretted underestimating my opponent. So that's your feeling, right? Okay. How do you feel? Okay. After what happened, how did you feel? You felt happy? You felt content? You felt remorseful? You felt satisfied? So you tell that. You tell that in the resolution paragraph. And of course, you had to elaborate a little bit. For example, this one, my vanity had cost me. Because, for example, this one, he said that he regretted underestimating his opponents, right? Okay, so what happened? So he said that his vanity had cost him the championship, and he was remorseful for being so vainglorious. So he had learned his lesson well, and he finally understood the meaning of this saying. So of course you put in your feeling, and also the lesson. Okay, the lesson that you learned from the incident. Again, what can you write in the resolution? Of course, you tell what happened. You tell what happened in the end. I repeat, okay? You can include these three elements for the resolution paragraph. Basically, what happened in the end that put a stop, okay, or that resolved the issue. That's one thing. Second, your feeling. Okay, after the incident, what did you feel? Your feeling. And then finally, what? Finally, the lesson that you learned, or probably your wish. After this, you wish to be more careful, blah, blah, blah. Okay, something like that, right? The lesson you learned, and also your wish. So these three elements, okay, would make up a good resolution. Okay. Okay, now that we already, okay, so now let's move on to the next activity. I want you to come up with a simple idea for each paragraph. Okay, like this one, just one sentence. This is like a storyline, not the entire story. Okay, not the entire story. I don't even want you to come out with like a fully constructed paragraph. No, just one sentence for each paragraph. Okay, come up based on this question. Hold on. Yeah, I'll give you the question. Hold on, yeah. Let me give you the question first. Okay. You can ignore the three, okay, class. Listen, you can ignore the 3 points, okay? But basically, an embarrassing experience. So that's the topic, an embarrassing experience. So you have to come up. Do you want to write an embarrassing or a memorable? Which one? Embarrassing. Okay. Or you like to tell something embarrassing about yourself? Okay, so yes, okay. An embarrassing experience. So based on this, okay, you come up with your storyline or your plot. This is the topic. Okay, because you cannot fail this step. You must first nail this step. Because without a good plan, right, you will not come up with a good product, which is your essay. I mean your full story. One main point. Okay, one main point for each paragraph. So the first paragraph is the exposition, second is rising, third is climax, and fourth is not rising. The fourth one is falling action. It all change. Okay. So online students, please do this. Wait, let me just edit here first. Okay, online students, make sure you do as well. All right. So just one. You would have ample time. It's only 9:17 now, so you should have enough time to come up with one sentence for each element. We've got 5 elements here, right? Exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Yes. So based on this topic, an embarrassing experience. So think first. What embarrassing experience you want to talk about? You want to share? For example, let's say you fell. Okay, you fell in front of 100 people. Mm. Or you participated in a singing contest and then you forgot the lyrics. Anything, okay? Anything you find embarrassing. So based on that one embarrassing event, you can come up with a storyline like what happened in the beginning, and then how it developed, how the story developed from there, and what happens in the end. Okay, just one sentence for each paragraph. But of course, you have to first come up with um, you have to decide on the embarrassing experience first. Okay, remember in the exposition, you can provide the time setting, place setting. Okay, online students, for the exposition, remember you can include the time setting and place setting, right? Okay. You don't have to write or include unnecessary details, okay? Just imagine writing a complete story, but in only 5 sentences. Huh? That's how you write your sentences. Okay, imagine summarizing everything up in just 5 sentences. Yes. So how do you come up with one sentence each for each paragraph? Online students, do you need any help? Okay, so basically you have to come up with one sentence each for each element. So just imagine writing like a complete story, but in 5 sentences, in only 5 sentences. So you only need to include, or you only need to write the most important part, right, of the story for each element. So that's what you need to do now. Okay, come up with one main point for each element: exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and the resolution. Experience. Since we started a bit late just now, so we'll finish a bit late as well. Okay. Later than the usual time. Finished? Online students? Kenneth, you're done? Can I see yours, Kenneth? Okay. Asteria, very good. Um, could you please... Okay, could you please send... Okay, all right. Let me check. Asteria, let's check Asteria. Okay. Right. Okay, very good. Yes, Asteria. Of course, I do see some grammatical errors here and there, but that's fine because the focus now is not really on the grammar, okay, but on the plot, on the storyline, and it's very good. Okay, it's very good. So as you all can see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got five paragraph. Sorry, yes, basically for the five elements. Okay, so in last, I'm just going to read what Asteria wrote. Okay, I'm not going to correct any error. So now in last school event, a PRS camping, I choose by my teacher to become MC for the event. Yes, basically, I was chosen by my teacher to become the MC for the event. Yeah. So that is the background. That's the background, right? The introduction. What happened? What happened? So in the last school event, so that would answer this the question when it happened. So it happened in the last school event, and then where did it happen? Where did it take place? So at a camp, right? It was a PRS camping. So I was chosen by my teacher to become the MC for the event. Yes. Okay, so that is your introduction, your exposition. And then now moving on to the rising action. So what happened next? I was very nervous and prepared a speech draft so that I could help for the ice breaking session. Okay, to ice break the atmosphere. Okay, now that's the rising action. You see how the story now has developed. Okay, now the most intense part. I suddenly forgot the speech, and the atmosphere was quiet, and all the people went silent, or all the people were silent. It's basically, she wanted to say that everybody was just like waiting for her to, like come up with the speech, okay, or to deliver her speech that she had forgotten to, you know, that she had forgotten. And then the following action, in the time, or at that time, the microphone also did not work well, and all the people were waiting for me to continue. Yes. Okay. Fortunately, so it's like um, see how the issue was starting to get resolved. Now, fortunately, my teacher came out and helped me to solve the problems. I felt so embarrassed. Okay, I felt so embarrassed. Okay, shy. It's not shy. It's just embarrassed. Okay, they are two different things. Now, correct. Very good, Asteria. So basically, you already know how to come up like with the idea, like the main idea for each paragraph, each element. And of course, you have to expand the paragraph. Yes. Okay, but basically, you know what to include in each paragraph. Okay, that's good. You know how to sequence the story. That's good, Asteria. What about the rest? Anyone else want to show me your masterpiece? Probably my physical student. Who wants to? Let me see. Come. Everybody's ID. Who wants to? Who wants to? You want to eat? No. You? 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 Yes, yes. Huh? Oh, you? Okay. An embarrassing experience. Okay, now your friends. Okay, thank you to Asteria. Asteria. Huh? Okay, now let's look at your friends here. Your physical friends here. An embarrassing experience. I'm just going to type, okay? Today, I'm just going to type out what she wrote, yeah? Word by word. Did this really happen today? No. No? And I went to the like poo. Oh, okay. Now I can visualize it. Oh my God. Okay. Wow, it is the smell of the, okay. The poo, not the poo. Wow. But girl, this is more than five sentences. Okay, 3. Moreover, my first action is love. When she came out, ah, did you notice something here? What's wrong? Who noticed? Who noticed? Who noticed the issue? What's the issue here? Okay, first, okay. The first problem is that we don't have like a clear event for each element. Okay, remember we have the 5 right elements, so you need to tell first, like, okay, first what happened. Okay, first you went to the washroom. Okay, so that will be your exposition. Okay, you went to washroom, and then next you heard the sound, the poo sound. That should be the rising action. Okay, and then third, climax. Climax. What happened? Your friend came out of the toilet and felt very embarrassed. So that would be the climax, huh? Right? And then falling action. Falling action. After she came out of the toilet feeling so embarrassed because you heard her poo sound, what happened? Falling. Maybe you said sorry. No, why do you need to say sorry? Okay, and then she washed her hand and she ran away. Basically, so you see, now it's more organized. Okay, and then right, and also it's not really clear. Just now you use the I pronoun, right? But then suddenly she, but who she. Okay, so you need to be more specific next time. Okay, but yeah, but basically you have the idea. It's just it needs to be more organized. Okay, more carefully planned. What about the rest? So far, is it clear? Okay, for our next lesson, then we will um, come up with the entire essay, which I probably need you to come up with the whole essay. But when you go home, I need you all to work on the plot first. Okay? If you fail this tab, then you know it'll be a problem later on for the entire story writing. Okay? Okay. What about online? What about online students? Yeah. Only Asteria sent the rest. Maybe you can show me yours later. Okay. Any questions? Any more questions? So far, is it clear? Do you already have like the idea on how to structure your story? Okay, that's good. Sure. If you have any question, please just let me know. Only Kenneth is responding. What about the rest? Okay, that's okay. If there's no more question, then we can end the lesson now. Okay, but please do more practices. Okay, on plot drafting. Very important. Okay, so if there's no more question, then we can end the lesson now. Okay, thank you everyone, to both my physical and also online students. Okay, see you probably next week. Okay, thank you. Okay, bye bye.